In this market update, we are going to discuss labor shortages and how they're impacting small businesses. If you're interested in learning more, continue listening. Welcome to the Red to Black podcast with your hosts Warner and Mario, and today we're discussing labor shortages. Mario, what are you seeing on the ground?
I'm seeing a lot of help wanted signs in restaurants, retail, brick and mortar, lots of help wanted signs. What is that an indicator of? It's an indicator of population, really, in my mind. The Pew Research released a study that says that we have the lowest marriage rate on recorded history. So they've gone back over 100 years at all their data on marriages. It's the lowest that's ever been recorded as initial marriages. That's also having an impact on birth rates. We have a lack of births in this country compared to historical averages, and we're actually below, in some instances we're below replacement value. So we're less than what we need to just replace or maintain our population, and that has a deflationary impact on an economy. If you look at Detroit on a micro level, Detroit has had a declining population for roughly 100 years, and a building, a business, a house, they're worth a lot less in Detroit than they were adjusted for inflation 100 years ago. Declining population is a massive problem, and I think that there's an element to this. Is why aren't we seeing young men and women in the fast food industry? Well, they simply aren't there. There's a lack of young women and men being born into this country to fill those positions. So what do we need? We need immigrants to come to this. We need open borders. We need the southern border to tear the wall down. If we have a declining population, we're going to need immigration to fill the delta.
So there's two things. There's the immigration demographic piece, but then there's also the piece that people don't want to work anymore. And that's a huge challenge because now you've created this environment where you make more money sitting at home with unemployment versus working. And because of our school systems now, which I would say are not creating industrious, hard-working individuals, they're kind of creating these automatons that just memorize and they want everything free and they think everything should be just given to them. That's not everyone. There's really, in every group, there's go-getters, there's hustlers. So it's not a blanket statement. What I'm seeing as a whole, you're seeing it on the ground, the facts. People would rather take unemployment than work. That's a huge choice. I get it if you're going to take unemployment because you can't find the opportunities, you've looked and you've got to support your family. But if you're just taking it just to chill out, you're missing an opportunity to go to a business and work your way up. And I'm seeing it in restaurants. Lydia and I go to the restaurants like maybe once or twice a week, and I see how slow people are moving. And I also see people are beaten down, the workers in these restaurants. That's not how it used to be. They're dealing with so many stressors and pressures, whether they have fear or they can't make their ends meet because housing prices are going up. Or it's hard to find a place, or they don't have the credit to get a place. So there's these multiple factors that are causing this labor shortage. And what that's going to do is that's going to impact these small businesses. Think about it. These small businesses are now dealing with fear, which we discussed in a earlier podcast. They're also dealing with the labor shortages. They're dealing with uncertainty. I can't even imagine as a small retail shop owner or restaurant owner, the amount of uncertainties that they're dealing with. What are your thoughts on that, Mario?
I'm going to be an advocate for a second here for my younger nephews out there and just say there's also better opportunities now for young men and women. You can work in a fast food restaurant, or you can start a YouTube channel. You can restore a sailboat and sail it around the world and get an audience. Like it's a more competitive space. Like what you and I, growing up in the 80s, the 90s, what you and I experienced compared to a young man or woman today, they have a lot better and more lucrative deals that are offered them to go work at McDonald's. That was an entry-level starting position to work your way up in junior high school. I mean, I started working when I was like 14 years old for my dad in a physical company. I went into literally every summer when I was 14. I went in and worked with my old man, a union shop, a big printing press. They did a bunch of catalogs in Seattle. It taught me work ethic. It taught me showing up on time. I mean, I literally put my boots on with my dad in the morning and went into work with him, starting at about 14 years old. There wasn't a YouTube. The internet was just barely getting started. There wasn't this opportunity. Now it's like, man, do you want to work at McDonald's or you want to restore a sailboat on YouTube and then sail it around the world and have 100,000 viewers? And for the smarter folks out there, there's better deals now than working at fast food. What do you need? You need immigration. What do you need? You need to raise this is all solved if you can raise your prices and raise the salaries or the hourly wage. It'll attract people into this country. You'll attract immigration. But if you want a low wage workforce and you want to keep low prices for food, you want cheap food and low prices for labor, and you have smart young hustlers, they're like, man, I can have a YouTube channel. It doesn't pencil out. You're going to need immigration or a higher birth rate.
Well, that's the same thing that happened with what you're referring to is the same thing that happened with Blockbuster and Netflix. Like overnight, Netflix, I think they went from CDs and they transitioned to online, DVD rentals or video rentals, and the download speeds started getting really, really fast. And Blockbuster was like, oh God, no, we can't compete with this. We have thousands of stores. How do we shift out of all these leases? How do we shift out of all this tenant improvements we've done on our balance sheet? How do we shift with all these hard CDs we have? All the material they bought to make those CDs, and now you have this company that's got a few servers, and they're offering you, same type quality video, probably even better, without you having to go out and get it. All you have to do is turn on your computer and download it. That just blew them out of the water. So the same thing that you're saying, which is technology is kind of blowing these fast food places out of the water, because now you can efficiently create a YouTube channel, and instead of like you're offering, think about a fast food restaurant, they're offering a certain product to just a certain local market. But when you're on YouTube, you're offering your product, whatever you create, to the entire world. So you can create, like, it's what you and I are doing right now with this podcast channel. I'm thinking to myself, well, the real estate industry, yeah, it's a decent industry. It's really good with the debt and the tax write-offs, but it's become so competitive, so much money coming in, that I'm like, well, I'm going to shift to this digital realm that I know, content creation. Because content creation, if you just stick with it and crank it out and you're professional, you can really build. I mean, the sky's the limit. There's never not enough content, right? I mean, you've been on YouTube, you can find a channel and you get bored with it and you go to another channel. So content but real estate, like multifamily real estate, there's only so much. There's only so many lenders. There's only so many buyers. It's becoming a very crowded space as people are afraid of inflation. They're jumping into that market. So I saw that, and I'm shifting to the digital realm, which over the long term is going to be a more lucrative realm. There's better economies of scale. That's kind of what this all is pointing to. These labor shortages is a mixture of shutdowns, but also it also has to do with the deflationary effects of technology.
Absolutely. This has changed, the internet speed and technology platforms have changed the labor market. If you're a young man interested in hunting, start a channel about hunting. And that's, I mean, there's kids that are crushing it. They're 15 years old on YouTube, skiing, fishing, hunting. They have some gravy. They have some wisdom at 15 about fishing. And you're like, man, it's fascinating. This guy's really into bass fishing. He's really figured it out. And here's a kid in Alabama or the South, Florida. I watch fishing channels in Florida. I'm not in Florida, but they're able to push that out. Like you said, they're not. And if they're really smart, they're domiciling their business in Delaware, and they're taking, even if they're in a state with an income tax, they're only taking a salary from their corporation that's in Delaware. It's so more efficient for a young man to gain financial independence, having a digital media business at 14, 15, 16-year-olds than going to work at fast food. So you're going to have to, a kid that grows up in America with our education system, it's a hard sell to say, hey, strap on a waitress uniform, waiter's uniform, and go work in a fast food retail spot. It's a hard sell. You're going to have to recruit people that didn't grow up with an iPhone and YouTube to get them to think that's a good deal. The young men and women in this country, trying to convince them to work for $7 to $10 to $15 an hour when they can have a global media business at 15 years old. It's a hard sell.
Yeah, because think about it. If you go to work for a restaurant, you're, let's say, 15 to 18, and you have an iPhone, and your boss is not so great, or the restaurant's not run efficiently, you just go on your iPhone that afternoon and go, hey, how should a restaurant be run efficiently? You're like, so not only is the restaurant competing with your attention as to whether or not you choose to work for the restaurant or go start your own business, now you're actually competing with more efficiently run restaurants because the information is being disseminated across YouTube. So it's this new realm of where information is running so fast that as a restaurant, if you're not staying on top of this and moving as quickly as this technology, which is almost impossible, it's like your days are numbered. Because I mean, this whole, if you're hanging on this whole, and then that's going to impact the mortgage-backed securities and this retail market. We're out of just this labor shortages. I wasn't expecting this, Mario, what you were going to come up with in terms of like being able to start a better quality business. I thought about doing a podcast. We're going to do a podcast on this like a day or two ago, but I didn't think about how labor shortages also apply to being able to start your own technology minded business. That's fascinating. That shapes the whole game, the whole retail space. That's
Yeah,
huge.
if you grew up in a small town in rural America, your options were the retail, the fast foods, the entry level positions in that small town, and now you have access to a global economy. You can have merchandise. There's 15-year-olds selling necklaces, selling fishing hooks out of South Florida, selling all sorts of stuff on their YouTube channel. They don't even care if they get demonetized. I mean, they're crass, they're vulgar, they're young men, figuring out their vocabulary. It doesn't matter. They're selling merchandise on a YouTube channel at 15 years old in South Florida, and if they're really smart, if they have an uncle that's helping them out, they're up in Wyoming or Delaware or Nevada as their LLC. I mean, the game has changed, and there's guys fist fighting it. There's guys. Let me throw up a help wanted sign on my fast food restaurant. Fist fight the wind. Good luck, Chuck.
That's why this channel, what we're talking about right now, is devoted to how do you invest in, buy, or start your own business, because the game has changed. Like in the past, it really required a focus on each area because information wasn't disseminated as fast. So you had to go to your library to figure out how to invest in a business or to talk to someone. That required, I mean, that could take a whole day. Mario used to do that down in Camp Pendleton in Santa Onofre. He used to go to the public library down there and read Value Line Investment Survey. Now that's completely changed. Now that I can visit get an iPad and iPhone. So now since information is moving so fast in this realm, if there's no businesses to invest in, learn how to start a digital tech business or digital online media business. I don't even know. Digital tech is probably not the right word. An online digital media business or a tech business, correction. That's available to you because now you have teachers all across the internet that can show you how to do that. So the upcoming businessman or woman, it's having these three skill sets: be able to buy, to invest in, or start your own business. And it all starts with the underlying foundational model, which is highly profitable businesses. That starts with accounting. Understanding that you can do all these, and when you do all those, you have multiple different opportunities depending on where the market is. Does that wrap it
Awesome.
up? That's it. All right. Thank you guys for listening to the channel. We ask that you comment, like, subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and then please share this with your friends. We really appreciate your support, and we're working on growing this channel to support people in becoming better investors and investing in highly profitable businesses so they can create abundant financial freedom. Thank you for your time.